Hey guys, what's going on? Back with another Cold War Zombies video, and this one is about the recent IGN article that was released on February 25th, 2021. In the article, they interviewed the studio creative director at Treyarch, Corky Lemoncal, who's also doing the Zombies mode. It looks like he is the one that's kind of telling the story and directing where Zombies is going to go this year. And this article, obviously, as you can see by the title, it's about the Easter eggs going to be a lot easier in Cold War compared to previous games. Because in the previous games, less than 2% of the players completed the Easter eggs or the main Easter egg quest. And so, what I want to talk about, as the saying goes, there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. So, Treyarch is saying they want to make it easier for the average player to complete the Easter eggs because only 2% of them have completed the Easter eggs. And then we have the big YouTube channels. If you've watched some of their videos or you've been on Twitter, you'll see that a lot of them are saying that they want it to be harder, but the reason or the real reason and the truth behind it, and that's why I'm titling it "The Truth Behind the Easier Easter Eggs," is the fact of what happened in Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 was pretty much the turning point, or kind of maybe the reset button for Treyarch and Zombies, where pretty much across the board, all the big zombie YouTube channels were complaining about Black Ops 4. And then on top of that, some of them were on consoles and PCs that couldn't handle the game, and there were a lot of blue screens and stuff like that that caused them to freeze up or lag out during the Easter eggs, and maybe some of the Easter egg steps are too long, and the consoles can't handle it. If you were there in Black Ops 4. And that's the other reason I'm making this. I know a lot of people, when I did giveaways, say that they're new to the zombies, that Cold War is their first zombies experience. So if you happen to come across some of the big channels, again, a lot of it, unfortunately, because it ties into multiplayer, it ties into Warzone, it ties into Blackout, and it ties into zombies. The big channels don't want to expose themselves how bad they are at the game. A lot of them, like it's called saving face. Like you always want to come across as the good guy, or the victim, or the victim's mentality, I guess they call it. This is coming mainly because of what happened in Black Ops 4. Again, across the board, a lot of them went to Apex. None of them really wanted to play Blackout because it was too difficult. So the Easter eggs in Black Ops 4 were really difficult. The game was really difficult. The gameplay was really difficult. Because same thing, was a little bit of a change from Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 Zombies was extremely easy. It was Jason Blundell's first Zombies game that he was lead, so he probably toned it back and scaled it back. And again, I love the way that Treyarch does stuff, how accurate they could be, accurate, how accurate they could be, and the fact that the game and the story talks about cycles, and everything in everyday life is about cycles. Now, as you can tell, or unless you're new, so how the cycle kind of started as far as zombies and YouTubers goes. A World at War, Black Ops 1 were relatively easy. Everybody just did high rounds, and people were just competing against each other to do high rounds. And then Black Ops 2 comes around, and Transit, Buried, and Die Rise come around, and they were a lot more difficult than what people were used to, especially Transit. Transit being the number one victim, I guess you can say, in a way. That Transit was extremely difficult. There was lava everywhere, denizens everywhere, fog everywhere. So the zombie YouTubers and the players, and a lot of them were new at the time. And something else I want to really touch on, a lot of them have been around since World at War Black Ops 1. And for them, I remember saying this in Black Ops 4, like I said, this is just kind of the truth behind what really goes on that you're not hearing about. You're not going to hear it from Treyarch, and you're not going to hear it from the big channels because, everybody wants to tell their side of the story. But the truth is, If you were on Twitter again during Black Ops 4, everybody would go on there and complain. And it's a trickle down effect where the big channels and their viewers, if the big channels can't handle the game, it was too difficult to them, they would complain about it. Then their subs and viewers would complain about it also, and it would just keep on going on like that. So that's the same thing that happened pretty much almost 10 years ago now with Transit and Black Ops 2. It was the most difficult zombies experience for a lot of the YouTubers at the time. There were not that many of them as there are now. However, the big channels, they're big now because they were the ones that started back then. So the cycle competed. It went from World at War Black Ops 1 being easy zombies maps, Black Ops 2 Transit, and the same thing with within Black Ops 2 Mob of the Dead. Jason Blundell gave you a Spork and gave you a Blundergat, both overpowering weapons. And I believe the Blundergat you can get out the box. The Easter egg steps were extremely easy. In Origins, you had maybe like 5 wonder weapons in that. The staffs, the gauntlet, I believe, or the fist was one of them. And you got multiple things. You got zombie blood. So if you look at kind of the trend or the cycle, World at War Black Ops 1 were easy. Transit, Buried Die Rise got really difficult. People complain about those maps. People love Mob of the Dead, and they loved Origins because they were easy. You got a lot of wonder weapons. Black Ops 3 comes around. Jason's in charge. Same thing. You get the Apothecon Servant. You get the ray gun. You get a lot of help and wonder weapons in Shadows of Evil. The zombies were easy to kill. I call them like paper zombies. So everything was really easy in Black Ops 3. And I remember even saying, I'm like, people hate Jimmy Zielinski because his maps were difficult. People love Jason Blundell because his maps were very easy. And again, people hated Jimmy because his maps were hard. So everybody loved Jason in Black Ops 3, and then he would go on channels and give answers away. So here comes Black Ops 4. Again, everything is so difficult across the board. I remember saying this specifically on Twitter. I'm not going to say to who, but I remember talking to some people that on Black Ops 4, it was just extremely difficult across the board. And the big channels, they don't want to let themselves look vulnerable or expose themselves. And I used to call Black Ops 4 like exposition warfare or something like that, where it exposed so many people how bad they were at the game. And again, a lot of them are just entertainers. They put up videos, they're pretty funny, and they're cool to listen to, but they're ultimately pretty bad at the game. And that's something that was talked about and why it is now changed to easier Easter eggs. Yes, they care about the majority of the players that aren't going to complete it, but in actuality, a lot of it had to do with Black Ops 4, again, that the big channels were very bad at the game. They don't play multiplayer because multiplayer is extremely sweaty and difficult. Blackout was extremely difficult. A lot of them ran to Apex Legends because Blackout, you just had to be really good. I'm really good at it, and I still had a tough time with Blackout. And forget Alcatraz Island, that was on top of that, like 10 times more difficult than the regular Blackout map, the main map. So keep everything in mind that it more has to do with some of the big channels, how bad they are at the games and the zombie map. On top of that, console constraints are always going to be a thing. And it's not talked about because I know Call of Duty has a partnership with PlayStation. But the PlayStation 3 console, was it 3 or 4? PlayStation 4 consoles couldn't handle, for some reason, Black Ops 4. It would just blue screen, lag out, freeze, whatever the situation was. So console constraints are still a big thing, obviously, but for some reason in Black Ops Cold War, it's not so bad. I mean, I'm on Xbox and we don't have any problems on Xbox at all. I've played so many games of Black Ops 4, Zombies, multiplayer Blackout, never had any freezing, blue screen issues or anything like that. So you just have to keep in mind, it's a game between the devs and the YouTubers, and of course, the players are considered. And like I've actually obviously completed both Maschine and Firebase Z in public lobbies, but I don't know if it's. I mean, it's cool. Wait, there actually are no achievement. Is it an achievement? No, it's just challenges, but you don't get any achievements unlocked. I think you do for Maschine, but you don't get any for Firebase Z. You get a couple challenges, XP unlocked, and Dark Ops challenges and stuff like that. But again, it's more has to do with and the reason I'm making this is because I've seen a couple videos from the big channels who are kind of like, they want to make it sound like, oh, they love the more difficult Easter eggs and they all want to make guides and stuff like that. But the truth is, they themselves get a lot of help from the zombies community in their stream. If they had it, and a lot of them data mine, so that's another big thing, and that's probably like so much to talk about in another video. But the Easter eggs, a lot of them data mine the steps, or I'm not gonna say how because it's gonna give a lot of secrets away, but a lot of them data mine to figure out what the steps are. Not necessarily the coding, because I believe the coding is hidden more difficult now, but they have other ways of figuring out what the next step is in Easter eggs. So that's how a lot of them actually figure out how to do the Easter eggs and what Easter eggs are out there. It's not by coding anymore. There's an actual different way that they look for Easter eggs, where they find out what the Easter eggs are in the game. I'm probably not gonna go into too much detail. And a lot of them probably, obviously, they do get help in their streams and stuff like that. But again, I hope this makes sense. I'll just sum it up again real quick. A lot of the factoring does probably go up to the general player base, but a lot of it has to do with how difficult Black Ops 4, the Easter eggs, and how long they were that the YouTubers couldn't handle it. It would be the same thing. It could, if they made a new Blackout or they made a new Warzone that's catered to YouTubers, that's more easier and difficult, maybe like on an easier level, more players and more YouTubers would obviously play the mode. A lot of them still stay away from Battle Royale and multiplayer because it's extremely difficult. And the thing is, some of the average players are getting a lot better. And for some reason, I understand that there's a lot of work that goes into making videos and editing and stuff like that. But a lot of them don't practice any of the modes. They just kind of like stream just to make a couple bucks. Nobody really goes off camera and practices hours and hours and hours. But if they did, it probably wouldn't be as difficult. Even though we are kind of like 4 years later down the road, or 3 years later down the road, that maybe Black Ops 4, if they went back and played it, would not be as difficult as they remember it. Because a lot of stuff comes with practice, which a lot of them don't do. But anyways, I'll see you guys later.